Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the Made by Mumino podcast. My name is Kathryn and I'm filming today over on the western side of Germany, kind of halfway between Dusseldorf and the Dutch border in a city called Mönchengladbach, which I suppose if you watch football, soccer, then you may have heard of it because we've got quite a big football team here. But I have to admit that before I moved here, I'd never heard of it. But I've been living here for quite a long time now. I live here permanently with my partner who was born here. It's a nice little corner of the world. We're really close to the Netherlands, Belgium and France, and of course loads of really lovely cities here in this corner of Germany and beyond. So I'm very lucky really. But I'm originally from Wales in the UK, and I try and go back as much as possible to visit family. And in fact, I picked up this mug last time I was there, up at the Brecon Mountain Centre in Wales, in the Bannau Brechyniog. They have lots of local crafters there, and I picked up this really gorgeous hand-thrown mug. And I have some orange and strawberry tea in it today. So welcome if you're just joining me, and a huge welcome back if you've been here before and are familiar with my rambling. But if you want to find me on social media, all of the links are below. Feel free to comment down below if you have any questions. Feel free to skip through the chapters. If you want any more information about anything that I talk about today, it's all down in the show notes, but feel free to reach out and ask me. So I've got one finished object to show you, a few WIPs and a few knitting plans. I'll get started. Okay, so traditionally I start with what I'm wearing today. Oh, actually, whilst I can see it in the screen, my John Arbon stash can is making a very handy plant table behind me, if anyone's wondering what that was. I was very, very kindly gifted a John Arbon gift card for my birthday. So I treated myself to a stash can, so it's full of my fibre for spinning, which I wouldn't call myself a spinner. I'm learning to spin, and it's very early days in that journey. Anyway, what am I wearing? Today I am wearing my field day cardigan from Ozetta. It's a high hip length cardigan, nice and simple, V-neck, and really lovely drop shoulder. That's a drop shoulder, isn't it? Drop shoulder construction, nice and casual to wear, very easy to wear over dresses and skirts and things. I knit this in the size L, so I have an 120 centimetre bust, that's I think 48 inches, something like that. I'm 168 centimetres tall, which is about 5'6", I think. But I'm quite short in the body, so I tend to knit things a bit shorter than said in the pattern. But I knit this on 4.5mm needles, which is a US 7, and I knit it using Woolly Knit Cones Held Double in oatmeal. I find that for many patterns, if it's looking for a sort of a heavy fingering sport weight gauge, that kind of thing, Woolly Knit Cones Held Double works very well. If you don't live in the UK and it's more difficult for you to get hold of, I think Holst Super Soft would be the closest equivalent. I'm not sure about an American alternative. If you have any suggestions, please put it down in the comments for any other viewers who might be interested. But I find that this kind of woolly wool is so versatile. It's not the softest when you first knit with it, but it softens up over time. It doesn't bobble too much. It's so hard wearing, and it just stays looking really nice. So it's kind of a go-to yarn. It's not a luxury yarn by any stretch. It's a really good price point, and they often have special offers on their cones and things. But it's definitely what I would call a workhorse yarn, and I use it a lot. So yes, but I don't think I've got any knits today with it. But I've knit several garments for myself, several for my partner, and yeah, so I do like woolly knit, although I've bought a lot of it in the past, so I'm trying to branch out and try other more rustic yarns as well. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing today. Okay. So just one finished object to tell you about today, but it's a big one. So I'll put a little video up here of the finished object before I show it to you in person, because I want you to see all the different lovely textures that are in it. So I gave myself about 4 weeks to finish this, and then I got a stinking cold, and the deadline is tomorrow, and I finished it and blocked it on Sunday night, and we managed to get out and do some photographs yesterday for it. But I was really worried that I wasn't going to finish it. I've never not finished a test knit before. Sorry, excuse me if I'm coughing a bit, because I'm still feeling the after effects of the cold a bit. But I don't know if anybody else got it over Christmas. It was lovely that I saw so many family members. I've got a massive family, and I managed to see so many people. It was lovely. But obviously what comes with that is viruses. And we ended up not going out for New Year's. Both my partner and I were poorly, and then my parents went down with it as well. But yeah, feeling all better now, but I was really worried I wasn't going to finish this test knit. So I was so happy when I managed to do it the other day. So as you can see in the video, or as you saw in the video, the first section is this beautiful geometric travelling cables, which the designer Yip Jan refers to as the air funnels. Now in his version, he has recommended combining a fingering weight yarn with a lace weight yarn, and that really emphasises those different sections and textures. And as you can see here in the picture, there's some areas that are quite translucent, and you can see that beautiful texture. Now I bought, in fact I'll tell you about the yarn first. What did I do with it? When I was at Wonderwall in Wales last year, I bought 2 skeins of this, and this is all I have left. I'll show you the ball band. This is Pigment and Ply, Lily made of Astolat, and it's 65% superwash merino, 15% silk, sorry, 20% silk and 15% yak. And they're quite large skeins. It's 480 meters for 120 grams. So they're quite generous. This is kind of a light fingering weight yarn. So I had this, 2 skeins of this in my stash, and I really wanted to make this into a shawl when I bought it, and I thought this would be absolutely perfect. The pattern also called for a lace weight yarn, a mohair or something, so I picked out a mohair that matched really nicely with it, not reading the pattern first and being totally dense about it. Normally when you have 2 different yarns, they're held together, so I picked them, I don't know what I was thinking, as if I was going to hold them together, and then when I actually cast on the pattern and you have to alternate between C1 and C2, I didn't like the colours alone. I thought that it was the striping effect was too strong, yeah, I wasn't happy with it, so I ended up doing the whole thing in this, because to be honest, buying 2 skeins of Rowan Kid Silk Haze is not cheap. I mean, here I think it's about 15 euros for a skein of it. So and I needed 2 for the pattern, which is, you know, it's not an insignificant amount of money. So I thought, you know what, I will make this work. I'm really happy with the outcome. As you can see in the video, you can still see all of the textures really nicely. So yeah, starts with that beautiful air funnel section, then it moves into what he refers to as the air ball section, which is Estonian nups, combined with some more travelling cables as well, and then the air wave section, oh no, sorry, air hole section next, which is, I think, the biggest difference when I just used the one type of yarn instead of the 2, because those holes are definitely more pronounced. There's a definite border to them, whereas in the picture they're more kind of lacy. So I think that's probably the biggest difference. After that, there's some yarn over and wave section that he refers to as air waves, but each section requires a different technique and a steady increase to make this really beautiful asymmetric triangle shawl. I think I'm going to sneeze. I did sneeze. So anyway, I'm super, super happy with the outcome. It looks gorgeous and the drape is stunning. So let me show this to you. I apologise, I haven't snipped off the last little ends after blocking. I like to let a project rest for a few days before I actually make the final cuts. But there it is. How stunning is that? So this is the air funnel section, which is all of these beautiful travelling cables. This was quite complicated and quite slow going. It wasn't difficult, but you just need to have an organised approach. So when I am doing complicated knitting like this, the first thing that I do is have some nice plain floss. This is sold, I think, in most craft shops for doing lace crochet. So it's a little bit stretchy, it's very thin. It's actually, my mum recommended this to me and she gave this to me, and it's brilliant for lifelines. Firstly, it's not too thick. If you use a yarn or a thread that's very similar to the gauge of your knitting, you might end up with a permanent line through it after blocking. Also, if you use something that's a strong colour, it can potentially colour the yarn of your project as well. So this kind of thing is what I use. And I tend to put in lifelines after every chart repeat. So in this case, it was quite a sizable chart. In fact, I might post a little video here of me pulling the lifelines out. But it doesn't take very long. I use a darning needle and I pull it through all of the live stitches on the cable and then just continue knitting. And I'll do that in every section that I feel that it would be difficult to rip back to. Now, when you're doing cables, there are so many crossed stitches, slip stitches, yarn overs, goodness knows what else. So if you had to rip back, it would be almost impossible to find a so-called clean row where it's all knits or all pearls or something, because they just don't exist. Every row has got something going on in it to create this pattern. So that's my first tip. My second tip is I'd like to print my patterns out. Now can I show this to you? I can't really show you the chart, but washi tape is my friend. So washi tape is, I'm so sorry if you already know what this is. All right, and if I'm preaching to the choir, where's my washi tape? Here it is. So washi tape is this Japanese sticky tape. I've got some cute Lucky Cat ones there. It's kind of fun to buy. I do enjoy buying stationery. But anyway, it's like what you would use for decorating, masking tape. It's not super sticky, but sticky enough to stay on paper. And I print my chart out and I stick my washi tape on there, so I'm always moving it up. If I'm going to step away from my knitting, I finish the row. Always finish the row and then move the tape up, so that you know when you come back and sit down, you know exactly where you're going to be, and always be consistent. If you want to leave it on the one that you're working on or whatever, do that, but just make sure that you are consistent so that when you sit down again at your knitting, you're not trying to work out where you are and potentially making an error or mixing up the right and wrong side. Also, always mark your wrong side or your right side. Pick which one you want to mark, just so that you know where you are. I like to just use a bold marker. This is a cute one. I think I got it in a gift box from Meadow Yarn a few years ago. It's got a little handmade ceramic bead on it. So I tend to use one of those on the right side of my work until it's obvious which is the right side and which is the wrong side. But sometimes it's not obvious, so you need to leave that on all the way through your project. The other thing that I do is use lots and lots of plain O-shaped stitch markers. Just little ones to mark in between all of the chart repeats. So as you can see here, you're repeating essentially the same pattern for quite a long time, and it's increasing on one side. So between each of those repeats I would put little O markers. They're not expensive to get. You can get some really cute ones on Etsy that are shaped like little cat heads and things as well, if that's your thing. But personally, I quite like the plain O-shaped ones because they don't catch on my knitting. So yeah, the best advice that I can give if you're just starting to do cables or lace or something like that is to be organised. Work out exactly how you're going to tell yourself where you are in the pattern at all times. Then you'll make fewer mistakes. When you have to think back, it's not so arduous. If you have to rip back, you're not going to lose loads and loads of knitting. So lifelines, mark your right side, use stitch markers to mark out your chart repeats, and work out some way of knowing where you are in the pattern, whether that's printing it and using washi tape or having it on your screen and using a line or whatever it is. Just work out your system of what works for you. So, and again, apologies if you already know all that. I hope you skipped to the next section if you're an old hand, or if you have any other advice as well for me, because I have to think back constantly, especially if this was the worst thing to start when I was with my family, because when you're counting and having to do repeats and things, I don't think I realised how much of my brain is used in that process. So having to put it down, have a conversation, put it down, go and do some cooking, put it down, go for a walk, put it down, fuss the dog. You know, it's difficult to focus. So I ended up putting it down until after we got back from holiday back to Germany. So yeah, but it's finished now. A couple of new techniques to me. I'd never actually done nups before, and these are nups, and they're relatively simple to do. I found a nice tutorial which I've linked down below if you've never done them, but I really like them. They look really cool. It's just a small textured dot, and the biggest tip I can give you with those is don't pull the yarn too tight, because you're making them by going into the same stitch multiple times. And then when you're coming back the other way, you pull them together if you're knitting on the wrong side. And if you have pulled your loops a bit too tight, yeah, good luck with that. But I love this. It's absolutely beautiful. The drape is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I was wearing this yesterday. We went out and did some pictures. I'll put some pictures up here if I haven't done so already. I tell you what, it was very cold. I was standing in a field in a t-shirt. I wanted to try and get some pictures because it snowed, I think, nearly a week ago. And the snow is kind of just sitting around, but it's looking less and less every day, even though it's really cold. So I wanted to try and get some pictures before the snow completely disappeared. But I was very, very cold. So my partner and I, we went out for ramen. He treated me to a really nice hot bowl of noodles afterwards, which was really nice. So yeah, I can't say anything more positive about this shawl other than as soon as I finished it, I wanted to wear it, and I'm really happy with my yarn choice. I'm really happy with how it went. The pattern, what can I say about the release? Oh, I think he's going to release it on Friday, the 17th of January. So today is the 14th, I think. Yes. So it should be released this Friday. So keep an eye on my Instagram, his Instagram, because I probably post it again on Friday if you're interested in the pattern. But it was so lovely, really nice, challenging knit. Took a lot of my brain power, which I really appreciate sometimes. So yeah, this is the Airbender shawl, and I think I will wear it again today. So I'm planning on going for a little walk, picking up some sausages at the butcher's or something for our dinner. So I'll probably wear it under my great big jacket then as well. So. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about the shawl, it was knit on 4mm needles, I think. Was that 4mm? No, 3.5mm needles, which is a US 4. So yes, anyway, WIPs. I have 2 WIPs at the moment, the first of which is amazing. Look at that! There's a DPN sticking out of it. I'm making a very, very pink neon squishy hat. How gorgeous is that? So these are both yarns from the WIP Yarn Company. This is the Hyacinth Boucle, and this is Ard DK. And I'll put the colour down here because it's not suitable if young kiddies are watching. His yarn names can be a bit fruity sometimes, which I do enjoy, but there we go. Oh, let me show you that a bit better. So that's the WIP Yarn Company. This is Ross. He's based over in Nijmegen in the Netherlands, and I first bumped into him at a yarn show a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. I can't remember. But this is his Ard DK base, which is 100% Polworth wool, and it's gorgeous. The Hyacinth Boucle, I love that name, makes me chuckle so much. It is 80% extra fine merino and 20% nylon, and you get this squishy goodness. So this is the Soft and Cushy Hat, which is a free pattern from Pearl Soho, and it's a half fisherman's rib. As with half fisherman's rib, it's knit inside out, and then when you turn it round, you end up with a different texture. So as you will see here, I've got a line here. So I think what I've done is with a half fisherman's rib, you knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl for one round, and then you purl, knit one from below, purl, knit one from below for the next round. So you end up with this really, really squishy wool. But if you accidentally lose your place and you knit 2 lines of knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, you end up with a line. So I've never done half fisherman's rib before, and the reason I wanted to try this was because I wanted to learn how to read this type of knitting to fix my mistakes, and it's really tough. So if anyone has any tips, please do let me know, because when you rip back, I can't get my head around then if I'm supposed to do a plain knit purl row or a knit from below row. I'm finding it quite difficult to read. So I find that when I'm doing a new technique, making a hat is such a useful thing to do, because it's not a big deal even if you have to rip the whole thing back and start again, which I think I'm probably going to do for this. Also because I went up a needle size, because I'm not using the recommended yarn as in the pattern. I'm using these 2 held together. So I went up to what did I use in the end? I used a 4.5mm needle, which is a US 7. I think I want to go down to a 4 because I think it's a little bit too open. Really happy with the squish. The squish is perfect. But I think I might start again even from that perspective. But yeah, I'm really enjoying knitting on this. The fabric is just gorgeous. I want to wear it because it's really cold. As my partner keeps saying, he won't lose me in a crowd. But it's making me smile every time I pull it out of my project bag. So yeah, do not adjust your cameras. This is the true colour. It's such a happy, happy colour. And I've got my fun little donut stitch markers on the end there as well. It's happy days. So yeah, that is sitting in my bag that I also got from Ross at the WIP Yarn Company, little Harris tweed bag. And that is my kind of, not mindless, but my learning project that I'm doing at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to try ripping it back a little bit, try knitting it again, and see how I get on with it. So that's that. Other than that, I only have one more WIP, and this is my mindless knitting project. I have already cast on something with my Christmas and birthday yarn, so I was a very, very, very lucky person. I had some beautiful yarn from Meadow Yarn and from Sherry Iris, and I was going to save it for something, but I thought, no, I want to use this. This is happening. So I cast on a Habitation Throw. And do you remember I said that I bought some Rowan Kid Silk Haze for my shawl that I didn't use in the end? I'm using it in this instead, because special yarn deserves some nice mohair to go with it. So the skeins that came with this are a fade. This is the darkest colour. And I'm just starting to introduce the next one in the fade, and these are from Meadow Yarn. It was a yarn box that I got from her. The next colour in the fade, I'm going to introduce the Sherry Iris, which goes really nicely. And then after that, go back to the Meadow Yarn. So it's going to be 400 grams plus mohair of beautiful squishy goodness. And this is my knitting in the evening, need to just relax and decompress type knitting, and I'm really enjoying it. So that will be a really long-term project. And as I said before, stitch markers to show which is the right side. This is a Helen Stewart pattern. It is paid for. It's very, very, very versatile. It is nice and simple. I'm not following the pattern per se. I'm following the basic form. I'm putting in yarn over rows when I feel like it. And I'm making up my own fade as I go along as well. It's got a nice I-cord edge on it. And yeah, just very nice and plain and simple. You just need to keep an eye on which is your right side. So that's where we are so far. And I've just started to introduce the second colour, as I said. So yeah, it's not car knitting because there's a bit too much yarn to organise, but that's living in a yarn, in a project bag that my mum made for me from Liberty Fabric. And yes, I know it's a Christmas theme, but it's nice and big. And it's got a zip. And I do like a zip for a long-term project bag. So what can I say? And I think that's all for my WIPs today. So in terms of my knitting plans, I have an urge to make myself a nice, easy to wear cardigan. And I will show you, apologies for any crinkling, show you the yarn. So this is the yarn I intend to use. Isn't that beautiful? This is Hunna Och Ai, Newtiden, and I have 500 grams of this absolutely glorious spring-like, or to me spring-like, green with little bits of yellow and beautiful, really gorgeous. So yeah, I've got 500 grams of this, and I have a no frills cardigan that I made in woolly knit, and I wear it constantly. I love it. And I would like to have a similar cardigan, if not the same cardigan, in a different colour, just for a bit more versatility. So I would like this to become a nice, plain, simple cardigan. So I've got a few different options. The first one is the no frills, which I'll put up here. And it is a raglan construction, nice and easy. Got a nice band down goes around it, no buttons or anything. I can make it as long or as short as I want to. I'll probably go down to sort of mid-hip, below mid-hip length. I'll just see how much yarn I've got, and I might just keep knitting, see how it goes. But it's such an easy cardigan to wear in the spring. You can wear it instead of a jacket, you can wear it sort of, yeah, as an extra top layer over a jumper as well if you need it. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards making that. I'm trying to be a bit more mindful about using patterns I already have. So I already have that pattern. Two others that I already have that I haven't knit yet are the Kaiho, I think it's called, Kaiho maybe, from Ronya Hakalito. And this is in her Lakeside Stitches book. I'll put a picture up here. Again, it's a nice, plain, simple cardigan that it does have buttons on it, but I think that I could probably extend it a little bit to make it a bit longer so it's more jackety. It's not dissimilar to the one I'm wearing now, if I'm honest. I would just like to knit a different pattern. I love this cardigan, this field day, but it's just nice to have something a bit different, isn't it? So that's another possibility, and I do like the pockets on that one as well. The third possibility is the Traveller Shawl from Andrea Mowry. I love this pattern. I bought it as soon as it came out, and I can really see myself wearing this. However, I've got quite a lot of this yarn, and I think I would like to make something a bit bigger, a bit more substantial with long sleeves. So I might save the Traveller Shawl pattern for another time. But yeah, if anybody else has any suggestions, but I think the no frills cardigan might be the way forward because it doesn't have any buttons. I don't want it to meet in the middle. I want it to be like that, sort of to wear over dresses and things. But if anybody knows of any other patterns that would fit that bill for a DK, that would be great. The other one I was thinking about was Like a Cloud from Hockey Locatelli. I'll put a picture up here. I am definitely going to make that pattern. It is in my queue, but it's for a lighter weight yarn. So all of the other patterns I've shown you are for a DK because I want to hold this double. If I want to make this into a lighter weight, then I either need to knit it singly, which would be too thin for that pattern, or I need to hold it with mohair. And I don't really want to spend the money on buying a sweater quantity of mohair to go with this because I've got enough for it to knit by itself. And I have some other knitted in that I have earmarked for making the Like a Cloud, but that's definitely on my to-do list. But this colour is just calling to me. I've knit a lot of greys and browns and things recently, and I feel like I need a bit more colour in my life. So yeah, if anyone has any ideas, as I said, please do comment below for a nice plain simple long line cardigan. I think I might knit another no frills cardigan, so we shall see. Is anyone working on anything like that for themselves at the moment? Do you have the urge to cast on something for the spring? Even though it's January, we're very much still in the winter. I'm kind of excited about the new year and about the new knitting season. So yeah, knitting plans is that. Also in other knitting plans, I picked up, I don't have it here, I can't remember what I've done with it, I think it's in the other room, I'll show you next time. I picked up a sweater quantity of Aaron Croft in a light grey colour, and I think I'm going to cast on a cable jumper for my partner at some point. So I picked the Moby sweater, the men's version from Petite Knit. Oh, that'll be 2 Petite Knit patterns I'm doing then. Huh. That's not the end of the world. Anyway, move on. So he really liked this pattern. It's not too heavy with cables and everything. So he really liked this, and I think that might be another long-term project for me. But I've never done a jumper that's all over cables before, so I really do fancy giving it a go. So yeah, that Croft Aaron will be, or Croft DK, I think it is actually, will be used for that at some point. Yeah, so that's all my knitting plans at the moment. A cardigan for me and a jumper for my partner, but the latter will be a long-term project. Also, it's on our anniversary next month. I think it's 8 years. 8 years next month. So I would like to knit him a little gift. I'll probably do, oh, I might have it here actually. Do I have it here? Ah, yes I do. I have some more yarn from the WE Yarn Company. I bought this ages ago. I think it was the first thing I bought from him. And this is the Yaldi Yak sock. And it's called Sprayed, and it's 60, 20, 10 merino, yak and nylon. And I knit myself some socks using the same blend, I think. But it's gorgeous. So I think I might knit my partner another muscle bra with that as a little anniversary gift. But yeah, I've forgotten that was in there as well. Happy days. So that's that. So acquisitions, I picked up that sweater quantity, but it's kind of to tuck away. I think I've actually already packed it away up in one of the high shelves for later use. But I do have an update for you and for the tumble drying. So I knit my partner a Gib 2 by Andrea Mowry a couple of years ago. I knit it in Malabrigo and Holst, held double, and my goodness did that grow. I don't know if it was the stitch, the yarn, or probably a combination of the two, but you could have fit 2 of him in there by the time he'd worn it several times. So I took a risk. I reblocked it and I put it in the tumble dryer, and it worked. It didn't felt. I should have done it before and after, shouldn't I? But it shrunk by, well, it tightened up by a good 5 centimetres all round. So what's 5 centimetres? 2.5 inches. 2 inches, something like that. And it fits him again. It was like I'd knit him a whole new jumper again. It was wonderful. He wore it so much over the holidays. So yes, that is the Gib from Andrea Mary. It's gorgeous. It has this all over, I don't know, is that a basket stitch? Not sure. And this cable detail down the raglan. And it's really lovely. It's so warm and squishy because of the yarn that I chose to do it in. And now it fits him again. So what I did, Nancy Wheeler in her podcast, Knit Zip Happy, I'll link that below as well. It's a lovely podcast. She mentioned having put something in the tumble dryer to tighten it up, to shrink it a bit. So I thought, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. This doesn't fit him. I can't think of anybody else who it would fit because of the proportions. He's long and thin, with very long arms. He's a drummer in his spare time, so I suppose having long arms is a benefit for that. But anyway, so I blocked it. I waited until it was almost dry, and then I put it in a net bag and put it into the tumble dryer on the lowest setting, 4-minute intervals, because that was just the automatic setting on the tumble dryer. And I watched it like a hawk. Every time the 4 minutes had finished, I got it out and poked it a bit. I think it took about 6 or 8 goes, I think, before I was like, ooh, oh, it's smaller. So I got it out and then I very gently laid it flat and let it finish drying naturally because it's still a little bit damp. And yeah, it hasn't felted and it fits him again. I can't recommend doing this because I can't guarantee it will work. But if you're feeling brave and it's not something that you would be prepared to rip back, there was no way I was going to rip this back and re-knit it. It was a lot of knitting. Yeah, if you've got nothing to lose, you could give it a go, I suppose. But the risk is on you. It worked for me. So yeah, be brave if you've got a jumper hanging about the place that's a bit too big for you. So yeah. Right, I think that is it from me today. And because there are no acquisitions or anything, I've got no yarn tours to give you at the end of this episode. Yeah, I've got a really busy couple of weeks coming up. I've got lots of boring adulty stuff that needs to be done, but I'm hoping to do a bit of spinning. Really need to do some housework today as well. Everything looks kind of neat and tidy, but you can't see the horror show that's going on back there. It's not that bad, but I do need to do a bit of housework. But yeah, I'm going to give myself a little break from doing test knits as well, and I'm feeling like I need to knit my own adventure a little bit and choose what patterns I'm doing. Also, by the next episode, I'm going to have written up 2 patterns. You've seen one of them already. I self-drafted a cowl for my dad. I'll put a picture up here. I'm calling it the Mazogla cowl. It's very, very plain and simple. It's just moss stitch with a bit of a border. So I'll put that on Ravelry, I think, as a free download. Maybe ask for €1 or something for charity for the first few days it goes up, but I'm not decided on that yet. And I also have a shawl that I self-drafted years ago. I keep meaning to write up, and a couple of people really kindly messaged me and said that they'd be interested in the pattern. So I'll either put them on Ravelry in the next couple of weeks as free downloads or ask for a small donation to charity for it. So yes, watch this space. So I'm planning on trying to be a bit more creative over the next couple of weeks and doing my own thing and my own patterns, as in choosing patterns, not necessarily writing them myself, rather than working to deadlines. Because I feel like I did a lot of gift knitting over Christmas, or up from the run up to Christmas, and then I gave myself quite a heavy test knit, which I really enjoyed, but it was combined with the busyness of the season and the complexity of the pattern. I feel like I need a little break. So yeah, some nice plain and simple knitting. What are you working on at the moment? I'd love to hear about it. And if you're still here, thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. There are a lot of podcasts out there to watch, and I do appreciate you choosing to spend your time with me. So if you like what you saw, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye.